there are some things that you still haven't fully let go of. And one of them is feeling responsible for everyone's emotions around you and not being 100% honest in what you say because you don't want it to negatively impact somebody else. And that doesn't mean that you're not careful with how you say it and that you say it kindly and, have use some discernment in what's appropriate. But at the same time, and I'm sure other women feel like this, you're carrying the weight of what parents think and spouse thinks and all the people. It's like, this move, how will it impact everyone else in the world, and so you're never true to yourself because you are seeing it through how will this impact other people, which means you don't know who you really are because you're people pleasing all the time. Hello, women of Fort Mill. I'm so excited to join you again today. Thank you for tuning in. We are continuing the series that I started, Moments That Made Me, and I really wanted to bring on some instrumental women that changed my life, not because of who they are, but the different areas that they helped me in my own growth journey. I'm so excited to introduce Mara Palermo. I have known her for many years, and she has seen all the many seasons of my life, and she was just incredibly helpful on the relationship with myself, relationship with others, and changing that dynamic. So Mara, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so happy to have you here.
Oh, you're welcome. I mean, as soon as you asked, I was like, of course, because it's such an honor and privilege to know you as well. So thank you.
Well, I think this is a really important topic on healing and learning what you would call your attachment style. And sometimes you hear these things and you think they know what they mean. You posted a video, I think it was last week, about a dismissive avoidant. It's like, oh my gosh, there's still elements of that are there, but it immediately took me to, wow, that was me 7, 8, 9, okay, maybe even 5 years ago. That was me. But it checked every single box. And it helped me understand when you walked me through this process of it's healing all of the deep wounds that are in us. I mean, that has to happen before we can have these healthy relationships and dialogue with others. But as you have worked with many women, including myself, what have you seen to be the most transformational as you're helping them with their relationships, but then how that change helps them show up differently in their work, or if they have a business, or maybe they're single and now they're the healthy version of themselves that can attract the person they want, or even if they're in a relationship and now their spouse is like, wow, who is this amazing version of you? Could you share a little bit about what being a relationship coach and what that looks like and how that shows up in people's lives when they work with you?
Yeah. So when people are working with me, that's the first thing that I start with is understanding what their attachment style is. Some people know, some people don't know what that means. And so I walk them through that. If they do have some kind of knowledge, usually they're really spot on.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, my work is to have them put themselves on the pedestal. And what I mean by that is taking them and putting them into like the center of their world, right? And focusing inward, focusing on them, understanding to get to know what drives them, what triggers they have, what these deeper areas that maybe we avoid or we're not even sure how to access. I guide them to that in such a way that they start to see things from a different lens.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they're coming to me, oftentimes, if they are feeling a little bit more anxious in relationships or a little bit more dismissive, which basically just means I want a lot of space, and the other one is I don't want any space. It's like very much the opposite and somewhere all in between, right? And so there's something underneath all of that that is driving them and driving these patterns that they're not aware of. And so oftentimes we think it's this other person or something out here and blaming this. And so when we're able to go inward and actually access those parts and shine light on that, then we're able to transmute that energy. We're able to change things. And it's pretty quick. Like you can make shifts quickly because we start to look at ourselves in a secure lens instead of this insecure, anxious, scared lens. And you start to take your power back.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you do that, you start to become more secure within yourself. You start to understand what you want, what you don't want, how to communicate, how to regulate your nervous system. And I think the main thing is becoming safer and feeling safer in our bodies and allowing ourselves to feel safe to let go of things that we've been holding on to. And a lot of it is just safety. A lot of it is regulating your emotions because that is going to help you to respond to things in a different way instead of reacting to things in our old identity. So really what I do with people is help them shift into a new self-identity, basically.
And feel like we can be us and
Yes.
love ourselves. And, there's all these cliche things. How can you love other people if you don't love ourselves? But as we were going through some of these questions and working together, and hopefully I'm not the only one that thought this, but sometimes I thought, do I know myself? Do I know what I really want, what I really love? Because you have all these conditions and things that are kind of imposed on you, whether it's because of how you grew up or previous relationships. And you sometimes find yourself not even knowing who you are. All you know is that you're in defense mode or you're in super clingy mode because you need people. In my
Yeah.
case, oh man, when you said in the first few months of your relationship, you seem super authentic and genuine. You're letting people in and you feel like you're getting close. And then it gets to a certain point where it's like, whoa, you have to stay a certain, there
Well,
has
too
to be,
close.
yes, you can't get too close and see the real me. And that's for plethora of reasons, whether it's because you've been hurt so much or feel like people don't love the true you, whatever it is. But I think sometimes it's because I don't know if I love the true me. And so much stuff comes out from just asking on the surface what feel like simple questions, but there's such big revelations as you go through this. You were like, Leah, we need like 19 years with you.
No.
But it was quick. And that's the thing that I think I reiterated over and over again. And this is no knock on any other. There are so many forms of therapy because everyone
Yeah.
needs something different. This kind of coaching and getting to the core root was so impactful for me. And I think women, like, we move fast, we want results fast. If we put hard work in, we want to see results. And that was the exciting thing, is I felt like I was making progress instead of, man, we're just talking about my triggers, we're talking about my traumas. We're just like, and not seeing, okay, I've made 3 steps. Like, I'm getting past this. So what's different about this process than other maybe traditional therapies or talk therapy? And there's value in everything. There's value in all forms of therapy and you find what's best for you. But what's the biggest difference? And then how have you seen that show up for other people, like in real life? Like, what changes for them?
Oh, that's a great question. And like you said, it's different, right? So if you think about even like going to work out, you're going to get a different result if you go to a yoga class compared to, say, like a HIIT workout.
Right.
Right? It's like they both are serving a purpose, but it's just different. And so when I think of traditional therapy or from what I'm doing, like coaching, it's a little bit different where, like, I do feel like with therapy, it's needed because if you really are trying to process things or you have, there are different, like, I'm not a therapist, so I'm not going to treat,
Yes.
like mental illnesses. Right. And so typically when people are coming to me, it's like they just feel stuck somewhere or they've been talking about it, they're ruminating over and over again. And oftentimes when you have a lot of anxiety and we're talking about it over and over again, we just stay stuck in it and just keeps us in this loop. And so talking can get you so far, but when we're really wanting to get deeper into the deeper layers, which is more subconscious, it's the stuff we don't see, we're unaware of.
Yep.
And that for me is you're able to get really to the root and the core of things. And we don't necessarily have to dissect your whole entire past. We just need to know where you are now and what is affecting it still and where do you want to go to the future, right? Where sometimes with therapy, you are talking a lot about like you're processing through some traumas or things from the past, which is, that's what that's for. And I totally understand that. So for me, it's like, I'm like the speedboat to get you from like where you are right now to where you want to be. Like, let's get from A to B. So it's more like future focused and whatever resistance or whatever fears, whatever things are coming up that's stopping you, we're going to work through that so you can keep going and actually get to your end result, which is if you wanted to have a healthier relationship with your family member, with a partner, or with yourself, if you want to stop attracting the wrong partners, or it could be a work related thing. There could be a dynamic between you and a boss or you and a client, or how you're showing up in your business, right? So there's so many different ways, but once we are able to address the deeper things that are just stopping you, then you're able to move a lot quicker into the direction you want to go. So,
well, this whole healing journey, and whether you've had really hard, traumatic, painful things or not, I think we've all had things that obviously helped shape us, how we view ourselves and other people. And so many times when we recognize why we believe a certain thing, I think I even said to you, this is so stupid that you think this way. When you say it out loud or you write it down, you realize I've been creating this mountain that is holding me back my whole life in XYZ areas. Like, I built it. I mean, I remember some of the exercises you took me through and all of of the like boulders in front of me, and it's like
Yeah.
self-created, or there was a way through it, and because I'm right there in front of it, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
So it's so encouraging. I think anytime we're working on something, we just want to feel progress. We just want to know we're growing, and it's the worst feeling to be stagnant, to be putting in the work. And it's like if you went to the gym 5 days a week and you're like, no change, in fact I'm getting bigger. Nobody wants to feel
Exactly.
that. So many of the things in going through this process with you just made sense of what seemed so complex. It just brought simplicity, which allowed you to move forward instead of just being stuck. So
Totally.
in your mind, you've worked with, well, men and women, you help them both,
Mhm.
but a lot of women. I mean, you have been having what are very personal conversations with women for 20 years, being in the beauty industry. How many
Yeah.
years was
Yeah.
it? We've known each other for a long time, but you'd help make women beautiful, and you still do. I mean, I remember being on your table, had just been through a breakup. I'm going to get my lashes done. Okay. I'm going to love how I look, and just fighting back the tears. And I'm sure so many conversations came from women on that table or while you're doing their hair or whatever it is. I know you said you were helping them, but it was on exterior level, which of course makes you feel good and confident, but you started this journey to be able to help them at a much deeper level, knowing that there was so much more impact that you could have. So was there a triggering moment or something that said, you know what, I can help women, or maybe even help myself in the process and change and help people have a full life? Was there something that happened specifically that made you think, okay, there's so much more that can be done here?
Oh, absolutely. And it's been many years. However, for me, it was my own journey as well. I think I started in this beauty industry like so young. I was in high school. So most of my clients were, at that time, like well over my age. And so I think what was great was I was learning so much about life through other women coming into my chair. And I started noticing things. I just started I was like a sponge, and I love the wisdom from women. And I've learned so much along the years. And I was like trying to figure out myself at that time too, because I was so young. And I remembered I'd see people really happy, and then I'd see people that were really stressed out. And I felt like I would always hear like the same kind of themes over and over again. And I picked up on that. And so when I went through a really bad relationship in my early 20s, it was very eye opening. But at the time, I just felt like, okay, once I finally broke that off with him, it was like, okay, I just need to find somebody new. And then like it would repeat again, but maybe not as intense, but like
Yes.
something else would happen. Right. And then I was like, what's going on here? Why do I feel like every relationship's like a roller coaster?
Mhm.
Right. And I would go into it terrified because I'd be like, okay, let's see how this one goes. It was
Yes.
like, I'm like, not sure. And at that time, there wasn't a lot of help around. And so I was trying to figure this out on my own, but I was determined because I was like, there is something here. And I did think that there was like something fundamentally wrong with me, because I was like, I don't understand how I just don't get this.
Right.
So I think in just having that just obsession with learning about human behavior and understanding the mind and all that, like that was the journey that I went on. And when I moved to Charlotte, it was like 2013. And about 10 years ago, I went through a really intense, like transformational workshop that really changed my life. And that was when I was kind of like stepped into the world of what coaching was about, and realized when I was like, wow, like I had someone basically, it felt like my life was under a microscope for like a good year, and they were just on you, like to break all these patterns. And so I was like, oh my God. It was intense, but it was great. And that was when things started to shift for me, because that change for me also started spilling out into clients on the other side of the chair,
Right.
because they're seeing that. And then I would talk about certain things, or I would just speak life into them. And then they're coming back and they're like, oh my God, I stopped talking to that guy, or I did this, or like, they were starting to shift. And so I think that's what it was, because sometimes we were talking about, we don't sit with ourselves just to think about what we're thinking, or what is it, my belief about that.
Yes.
We're just on autopilot going throughout the day.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, that was just like the turning point. And so once COVID hit and we had to shut everything down, that was when I started to make more of that shift to really go into coaching, because I knew that that was more of a higher calling, because I was like, okay, I can help people. I love transformation. I love helping them look beautiful, but there's some things that we need to do that's like the beauty on the outside is just like the icing on the cake, where I think some of these things that people are really desiring, I can't help them with that externally.
Right.
We got to go internally with that. So
Yeah. One of the things that Man, I still struggle with this. As I always think, reflecting on our time and working together, part of me thought, oh gosh, Leah, there are some things that you still haven't fully let go of. And one of them is feeling responsible for everyone's emotions around you and not being 100% honest in what you say because you don't want it to negatively impact somebody else. And that doesn't mean that you're not careful with how you say it and that you say it kindly and, have use some discernment in what's appropriate. But at the same time, and I'm sure other women feel like this, you're carrying the weight of what parents think and spouse thinks and all the people. It's like, this move, how will it impact everyone else in the world, and so you're never true to yourself because you're seeing it through how will this impact other people, which means you don't know who you really are because you're people pleasing all the time. And
Yep.
that's why that video you outlined, this is what that dismissive avoidant is like. You
Yeah.
don't want to hurt that person's feelings, so you're not going to break up with them. You're like, I'm just going to pull back, wait for them to be like, what is wrong with her, and break up with me. Just all of those things, or not be as confident in what you believe or standing up for yourself. And so it has this impact on you that is slowly just suffocating who the core of you is until you get to a point where you're just like, I don't even know.
Yes. Yeah.
So seeing that in so many people and knowing that, like you said, you're like the speedboat. First, we've got to go deep, but we're not going to spend 19 years in the past. Like, we're going to identify
No.
where's the wound? How do we feel it? Next steps. Great. Let's start living a beautiful life. What advice would you give to women that maybe internally raise their hands like, oh my gosh, that's me? Or maybe I'm the opposite of Leah. And then I tell everyone what I think and I need people next to me all the time. And I'm more of the clingy, like, what's one thing that you would say, ask yourself this, or what's one thing that all women should be doing right now to identify how we need to change and improve and start to build on this relationship with ourselves?
Well, that's a great question. And one, I would like to say that no, you're not alone, right? Because we all go through this. And I think just from working with so many people, we are more alike than we are different. Maybe it's we look differently or our lifestyles are different, but deep internally, we all are craving to feel seen, heard, safe, understood. We want to be able to have that. But there's just all this, like these past situations, whatever it is, or the way that we were raised, the belief system is we're not taking reality as it is. We're creating it through our lens of our own beliefs and our own previous stuff. So you can always, update that and start to actually upgrade your belief system. And by doing that, and also the work within your body, like just feeling regulated and learning how to do that. And some people are like, well, I don't even know what that means, because we're so used to feeling bad sometimes, or we're so used to just being like this. We don't know that there's another way, and you don't know what you don't know. So self-awareness is the very first thing. And one of the things that I always suggest, and I have a quiz that people can take. One is just understanding your attachment style, because right there, all that does for you is to understand like where I really am. Once you start to see this, that's the self-awareness. You're like, wow, I didn't even realize that this is how I show up, because we think everyone's like this, right? Or we're showing up in this way and we don't realize until you see something differently. You're like, that is me. And if that's you, that's totally fine. That's great. You want that, right? There's nothing wrong with it. Now we're bringing it to the surface. And so from there, you start to take a look around and say, I always say, like, if we don't like something that's happening outside of us, there's some kind of internal belief system, or there's something that's going on internally that's creating that, right? So take a look at that. How are you when you are around women? How are you when you're around men? How are you around different people in your family? Start to just create that awareness. That's huge in itself. Because if you're like, oh my God, I didn't realize, like, I think all women are catty, let's say, right? Or I think all men are jerks, so it's like, we have to start to think of how do we really view people? And when you start to take a look at those things, it will start to reveal a lot. And then you have somewhere to go from that. But until then, just creating the awareness, start to look at that. And if it's something inside of you that this is speaking to you and you're like, oh my God, that is so me, then that's also a sign too, and to lean into that instead of running away from that.
And being okay with not only change, but a little bit of discomfort, knowing that what's on the other side of the discomfort is real love for yourself and safety within yourself. And some of these things, especially as we would go through them, they just sounded crazy to me. Like, I don't feel safe within my own body. And it just brought to light so many things that until you slow down and look at them and realize this is why I always take offense to this, or this is why when this one thing is said or happens, no matter who's saying it, defenses go up, and I'm great at that. I'm great at putting up, you can't hurt me. But that's no way to live, because one, you don't really feel things in life, because when you're numb to the hard things, you're also kind of numb to the good things too.
Right.
Yeah. It, like you said, it is putting different glasses on and seeing there's a different world that I can live in.
Yeah.
But it's not on the outside. It truly is just reflecting.
And
you wrote a book as well. Tell us a little excerpt of the book.
Yeah, it's called The Love Code, and it's a lot of my work that I put into a book. So you'll have an understanding of what attachment styles are, how does that play out, and you'll be able to start to break from some of these patterns.
Mhm.
It'll help you a lot with your self-awareness, because it will prompt you to do that. So you'll learn how to communicate better. You'll understand what your needs are. It's really good for you to just start on that journey if you haven't started before, or if you want to go a little bit deeper and start to see things through the attachment style lens, then this is a great way for you to start with like actual tools.
How can people get the Love Code?
Well, they can reach out to me. I actually did like a first draft of it, and so now I'm working on the second one.
Okay.
So that one's finishing up. So they can reach out to me, and I will gladly get that to them.
Okay. Well, Mara, you are such a joy and a pleasure. It's amazing when you find the people that not only change your life, but wherever they go, they're just beaming with goodness. Because a lot of people are not like that. They're taking energy, but you are one of the people that is just exuding joy and confidence. And I love it that you can help other people, especially women, come into this, who they really are. It's just been overshadowed by so much junk. So to help them move it out of the way and really be their true selves and be happy again. I mean, what a gift.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And I wasn't always like that, right? I mean, there was many years I had such a hard time looking in the mirror. So just know that there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
You can always change and shift. It just takes a decision.
Well, how can people get in touch with you? What's the best way to reach out to you? Through Instagram, email, website? What are all the ways?
You can reach my website, marapalermo.com. You can just search my name on Facebook, Instagram, and also you can email me at mara@marapalermo.com. Very easy. I keep it very simple how to get it.
Love the simplicity.
Search my name.
Yes. No, that's great. Well, thank you so much for being a part of my journey, one of the instrumental women that helped make me and help me be this version. And we know there's other better versions to grow into, but it's so wonderful to feel like you've made such big strides, and you've definitely been such a big part of my journey. So thank you so much. I can't wait to have you back. Ladies, please reach out to Mara. She is full of goodness, and I'm sure you can see that in just this short time. So reach out to her through social media or website. Take the quiz and find out what your attachment style is. It's almost like doing the Enneagram, where you feel like, that's me. Oh my gosh, all of these things are me. So it helps you understand yourself and relationships so much better. So if this episode was helpful to you, please share it with a woman that you know would benefit from it. Go to Mara's page, like and share. Thank you for following the Women of Fort Mill podcast. If you have topics that you would like to hear about, please send us a message. Kelly and I would love to bring other guests on and talk about the things that really matter most. So thank you again. And ladies, we will see you next week for another episode of the Women of Fort Mill.
Thank you so much.